Good evening, and welcome to our third annual virtual Wave of Light. It is also, today is also Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. So my name is Mary Margaret Murphy, and I am the Executive Director of Baby's Breath Canada, and I'm your host for this evening. Before we begin, I would like to start with a land acknowledgement. The city of St. Catharines and the Niagara region is a traditional home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples. The land is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe people, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This land acknowledgement is important. It reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and the friendships of Indigenous people in our community, and indeed across the nation. It's been a tough couple of years. The pandemic has had a profound impact on all of us. When we started this event, it was an in-person event at the St. Catharines Market Square downtown, and we had a great turnout for that first event. The following year, we went virtual, which has had its benefits. Now, families from across Canada can join us. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Tonight, we are going to showcase the work we have been doing to prevent stillbirths in Canada. Recently, the WHO released statistics regarding stillbirths. Every 16 seconds, somewhere in the world, a baby dies of stillbirth. Every year, 2 million babies are stillborn. That's 2 million families devastated. So before I introduce our guest speakers, I would just like to remind everyone about the silent auction. Feel free to bid on items while you're watching the event. The silent auction will close at 8 p.m. tonight. We will be stopping right at 7 o'clock to light our candles. And after a moment of silence, we'll begin our angel roll call. And our program will wrap up at 7:30. So I'm really excited to introduce our guest speakers. Nadine, Dolma, and myself formed the Canadian Collaborative for Stillbirth Prevention. Melissa recently joined as a volunteer, and the four of us will be sharing the work that we've been doing and the impact this work may have on healthcare for pregnant women in Canada. So, without further ado, welcome Nadine, Dolma, and Melissa. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have you here today. What I thought we would do is maybe start with some brief introductions. So, Nadine, if you wouldn't mind going first.
Okay, that's fine. Hello, Mary Margaret, and hi, everyone. My name is Nadine Belzil, and I'm the founder of babykicksbabybouge.ca. And I formed that to as an information campaign to raise awareness of babies' movements during the third trimester as a means to prevent stillbirth, and which occurred to me 10 years ago. I had a stillborn baby girl at 38 weeks of pregnancy. And it's been, I'm doing this work in memory of her.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Dolma.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. As Mary Margaret mentioned, I am a co-founder of the Canadian Collaborative for Stillbirth Prevention, and I'm also the founder of Fluttercare. Fluttercare is a digital health organization that's dedicated to supporting families in preventing stillbirths. We've created many free resources such as a mobile application and kick count charts, which can all be found on our website, fluttercare.com. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's a huge honor to be here and to work with all of these amazing individuals, and really looking forward to the rest of the program.
We're so thrilled to have you, Dolma. So thank you. Thank you. And Melissa, over to you.
Hello, everyone. And as Dolma said, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I am the owner of Healing Loading. I am a certified pregnancy and infant loss coach. And I also I'm the mother of a little boy named Lachlan, who was stillborn in 2016. So it's been an honor to be a part of the collaboration in any way that I can to prevent stillbirth.
And again, we're so thrilled to have you as well. For everyone that is watching, we created this collaborative because there's over 3,000 stillbirths here in Canada. Now, that number was stagnant for a while, but it started rising. And we realized that 50% of those stillbirths were from a lack of oxygen. The Indigenous community, they have a higher rate of stillbirth. And countries that have implemented a national action plan have seen reductions of stillbirth rates from 20 to 50%. The Australian action plan, which could easily be adapted for Canada, and that's partly due to the fact that they do have an Indigenous community, could be obviously adapted for Canada. They've seen reduced stillbirth rates of 20%. So, in forming this collaborative, we've created a website in which you saw on the introduction, which has a wealth of information and resources regarding stillbirth. But Nadine, can I turn it over to you to talk about the action plan and the 5 key areas that this action plan addresses?
Yes, actually, that's one of the reasons we chose the Australia Action Plan. Is fairly new. It was put in place 2 years ago, and it has 5 key components to it that we think would be easily adapted to Canada. And the first one actually is ensuring high quality stillbirth prevention and care. And that would include developing national guidelines for prevention on best practices for stillbirth prevention, including fetal movement monitoring, sleeping on one's left side, and during the 3rd trimester, and quitting smoking. So those are 3 of the elements that we'd like to see in the national guidelines to prevent stillbirth. Those guidelines will also be adapted to culturally and linguistically to high-risk groups such as Mary Margaret mentioned, the First Nations, Inuit and Métis communities, as well as immigrant and refugees. And that's what the Australian action plan has done also. Australia also has a Safer Baby Bundle, which is a package of information that they distribute to maternities within the country, and that could easily be adapted. That would be part of Action Area 1 for Canada. Action Area 2 is raising awareness and strengthening education, and that is, for example, an awareness campaign that we would like to see on informing just raising community awareness, and the general public about the risks of stillbirth and how to reduce them. There's also a component that they have in Australia, which is an online education package training module, I think, that we could adapt for healthcare professionals here in Canada. Action Area 3 is improving holistic bereavement care and community support following stillbirth and other pregnancy losses. And that's one that I know Mayor Margaret has to heart, and we all do as lost parents, because support is not available everywhere in Canada, and we would like to see that change. And that's what this action area is all about. Action Area 4 is improving stillbirth reporting and data collection. And that's important because we need better data collection on the causes of stillbirth in order to be able to prevent them, and to also inform Action Area 4, which is prioritizing stillbirth research. And for that, we need better data. What we would like to see also in the research area is a new Canada research chair on miscarriage, stillbirths, neonatal deaths, and sudden and unexplained child deaths. And that would be important in order to prioritize that aspect of research in Canada. So those are the 5 key areas that we want, that are in the Australia Action Plan right now, that we would like to see in Canada.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Nadine. Doma, would you mind sharing sort of the work we've done so far? Because we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we launched the collaborative in March 2022. And really our goal was to bring individuals and organizations together to call on the Government of Canada to implement this national action plan. And so we had 6 different organizations answer this call. Baby's Breath, Baby Kicks, and Flutter Care were the first 3. And then we had Shifra Homes, the Canadian Premature Babies Foundation, and Healing Hearts Foundation all come together. We've also had the public come together. So Nadine had previously launched a petition, which was able to gather over 750 signatures. And after forming this collaborative, we launched a second petition and have since gathered over 1,700 signatures, all thanks to these families who have come together to support us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've also been taking this to Ottawa. So on October 4th, we met with MPs and senators from across Canada to discuss this plan. We had the opportunity to share our stories and talk about what exactly we were asking for. And we've had really great reception. A lot of the MPs and senators supported us and were offering their guidance and further support. So I think that's been really encouraging. Right after that event, we headed over to Parliament Hill and we're on the front lawn, had families from all across Canada joining in for this event. We put out a call for families to share their stories. We had 72 families submit their stories, 100 babies honored on the Hill. So that was a really beautiful experience for all of us.
Mm-hmm. That, honestly, that event and hearing the family stories, they were so touching. And we had a beautiful day for it. And I know the families that were able to be, I mean, we did it live on Facebook so that families, yes, could across Canada join us. But we did have a few families join us, and heartbreaking, as I know all of us, you know, who have either know someone or have gone through it, knows what it's like. You know, when dealing with a loss. So that that event turned out, I think, very well. And then we had a meeting with the Minister of Health on the Friday. I don't know, Doma, can you share a little bit about that meeting with the minister and sort of how you felt that meeting went?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to meet with the Minister of Health, Jean-Yves Duclos, and then also the Chief Government Whip, Stephen McKinnon, who held a big part in actually getting that meeting. So we definitely would like to thank him as well. But I think the meeting went very well overall. The Minister of Health seemed receptive to our asks and agreed that this is something that the government should prioritize. I think from that meeting, our number one thing to get out of it was basically to start putting together a advisory group to help figure out what the next step is in terms of implementing this action plan, how to adapt it for Canada. So that's really the step that we're taking now. And he's made it a mandate for the Public Health Agency of Canada to move this forward.
Yes. So, I mean, it's wonderful. And as you said, we're just waiting, you know, for the next steps. So it's kind of wonderful to see that we may have impacted healthcare here in Canada for pregnant women. And I mean, that's very exciting. So I think, Melissa, before I turn it over to you to wrap things up, we have some photos and we have a slideshow of our trip to Ottawa. And I think this will be a good time to actually turn it over to the slideshow. those pictures are just amazing. And Melissa, as our newest member or volunteer, it was your contact, Ryan, that actually was there with us taking those pictures. And I mean, he did an amazing job. So, Melissa, if I could turn it over to you and just if you could share sort of what our goals are and what we're hoping to accomplish with this National Action Plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal is to reduce stillbirth by 30% by 2030. This could mean saving over 1,000 babies a year, approximately 50 kindergarten classes,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah. As a coach, Melissa, what do you see are some of the, challenges that families face, when dealing with a tragic like this? Because I think you're doing some coaching and
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say the biggest challenge is like society, because
Mm,
society wants us to feel better and to move on. So people are wondering how to like get better
yeah.
when it's not about getting better,
No.
because
You
we're
know,
forever living without them. So
there's a great TED Talk that I had seen, and I'm drawing, I can't remember the person's name. And it's not about moving on, it's moving forward with them.
mhm.
And this is why we do the Wave of Light tonight, because our very first Wave of Light, which was an in person event, I had a grandmother come up to me and she said, I am so afraid to bring up my granddaughter's name because I'm fearful my daughter will cry. And I said, she just wants to know you haven't forgotten her. And it's okay if she cries, but those are good tears. It's because you remembered and you asked her about her. And she, after that, she's like, I will go home and I will start talking to my daughter about her. So I thought, that was great advice. And, tonight coming up, we have the angel roll call. And I know for a lot of families, it's what, they want to know their baby hasn't been forgotten. And I think that's why I'm so glad that there's days like this today that we can do that. We can honor these babies, we can honor the families and give them an opportunity as a community. We can come together and we can share their grief and we can help them move forward and but not move on, but move forward with it. So you guys, I want to thank you so much for all the work that you have done. Um, I'm keeping an eye on the time, and we've got a few minutes here before we will be lighting our candles. But I was just wondering if there's any last thoughts that you may have regarding what we've done or where we're going with this. And Nadine, I might put you on the spot, but was there anything else that you would like to say?
I'm just feeling blessed right now that since the 2 years that I've started advocating for stillbirth prevention, that everything has been moving forward quite smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in part, I think in part it's due to my little Judith up there who's watching her mama,
I'm sure
and
it is.
yeah, and I just hope that the ministers' meeting we had with the Minister of Health, that things really do fall into place, and
Mm-hmm.
that we can continue our good collaboration that we've had so far with the Public Health Agency of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, I absolutely 100% agree with you. And I know Judith is probably very proud of you. I'm going to start crying.
and I'd like to thank the over 1,700 people, plus the 726 who signed the first petition,
Yes.
to thank you for signing. It's made a real impact and a real difference
Mm-hmm.
in showing us support that for what we're doing, and that it's worth doing.
Mm-hmm. and that it's needed. What we're doing is
Yeah.
needed. Yeah. Doma, I wanted to ask you. So I didn't get a chance to get your logos up for tonight, but maybe you can share with one about Flutter Care and about the app that you created and where people can go to actually access this app and sort of how it works. I think maybe that would be a great opportunity to share with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Flutter Care was an organization that I founded in 2020. It was largely inspired by my mother's experience. She had 2 complicated pregnancies, one of which she almost lost her life, and that impact has really had an effect on her and my family long term. And so, while I haven't experienced a stillbirth myself, I can recognize how this, has a ripple effect on the entire family, and is something that lasts with people. So yeah, as I was continuing to do this work, I became very connected to the community of parents who have lost children. And we decided to work on this mobile app to help people to track their fetal movements and recognize their patterns, because we understood that this was a challenge for many people. And many people aren't aware that fetal movements are really critical in terms of monitoring your baby's health. So we wanted to create a simple and accessible tool for people to easily track these movements and recognize these early signs. So that's exactly what the Flutter Care app does. It allows you to track your movements, recognize your patterns, and it also offers education. So that's all available for free on our website, fluttercare.com.
And this, and I thought this is amazing. You actually have an engineering background, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have an engineering background, and I'm also a certified doula. So I've kind of bridged 2 passions of mine, for sure.
Yeah. And what was interesting when Nadine and I really kind of started this with the first petition, we actually were speaking with Baby Kicks in the US, and they had an app that I think forget how many languages it's in. And, when we started working with public health, it was just perfect timing how you came along, because we're like, we know someone who has a Canadian app and that it would, it works for Canada. We don't have to use a US app that they have, but people can download this app on like their iPhone, their Android phones. Like it's easily accessible if they just go into Google Play, is it? And
Yeah,
to download.
if you look up Flutter Care, it should show up on Android and iOS.
Yeah. And, we talk about this and, how important it is. And I think there's a bit of there's some guidelines where they say, count so many kicks within an hour. And we are really advocating for within that hour, developing your baseline. So knowing how many kicks, jabs, or rolls that your baby does within an hour. And then that kind of is your baseline. And then the next day you do the same thing at the same time. And I think Doma, your app's perfect because it can help women in tracking the fetal movements. And we're working. Let's hope that the minister, comes back to us with, wanting to put a committee together and, tabling this in the next budget. We talked to him, and I remember Stephen McKinnon saying this wasn't an expensive program. Australia was able to implement their initial plan with $10 million. And of course, here in Canada, we have a lot more people than Australia, but realistically, between 10 and 15,000, it's not a lot of money. I should say 10, did I say 10 million or 10 million, or even 15 million to actually get this program going. And that's one thing I really appreciated what Stephen McKinnon had to say, which was it wasn't an expensive program to get launched. So I'm really hopeful. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done. I got a chance to actually meet and work with you guys on a really regular basis. And Melissa, when you reached out, it was like, of course, we want you to join in. And Melissa, you helped us so much at that Butterflies on the Hill event with writing, like the names on the butterflies and helping us get them on the board. It was beautiful and it was touching. And so again, we are so thrilled to have you. I just see here at 6:59. So we will be right at 7 o'clock. You're going to see us disappear, and there'll be a candle being lit. So I encourage families at home. I know Melissa's getting ready to light her candle. Nadine, I'm sure, and Shaknoza, that's our next guest, are ready. That's the whole point. Around the world at 7 p.m., families will be lighting their candles. And, and then following that will be our angel roll call. And I know that it's going to be tough for me to watch this. But anyways, it's 7 o'clock, time to light our candles. That video gets me every time. So I just wanted to thank all the families for sharing their pictures. That last picture was baby Pearl, and I know Cheryl's watching. Uh, anyways, thank you again. This is one of the toughest parts of my job, is opening up an email. And anyways, our next guest speaker is Shaknoza Nazim. Shaknoza also lost her daughter to stillbirth, and she is petitioning the Ontario government for a stillbirth certificate. So welcome, Shaknoza.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you joining us tonight. And of course, when I heard your story, I was kind of surprised that families in Ontario didn't get a stillbirth certificate. And before we begin, first of all, I just want to say how sorry we are for your loss. And we know that tonight can be also difficult, but it also is, I think, a chance to celebrate. Not celebrate, just honor their memory is probably a better way to say it. So can you share your story with us, and why you started the petition?
Of course. Our daughter, she was our first pregnancy. She was stillborn when I was 26 weeks pregnant. It was extremely unexpected for us and very traumatic experience. When I gave birth to her on August 1st, 2019, we didn't have a great experience. But when I was leaving the hospital, I came up to the reception and I asked, will I be getting any paperwork or documentation that, I gave birth for my daughter? And they said, nope, you're not getting anything. You can just go home. I left the hospital with just a paper of her footprints and handprints that I keep very close to myself and very dearly. And I have called Service Ontario on occasion, and I asked them if there was a stillbirth certificate that I could apply for because my daughter was stillborn. And the gentleman said that you can apply for a death certificate. And I said, well, that is not how it was for me. Death certificate is for somebody who was born. They had a life certificate, birth certificate, and then a death certificate is honored to honor their life. However, I said in my situation, my daughter she died first and then she was born. And I think she deserves to be recognized. I deserve to have a documentation that, she was in our lives. I was pregnant with her. I gave birth to her. But he said there's no such thing as stillbirth certificate in Ontario, which obviously upset me, and it made me feel much lonelier than I was before. After doing some homework on Google and speaking to some of my friends across Canada, I found out that New Brunswick and Ontario are the only provinces in Canada that do not have stillbirth certification for bereaved parents. And after almost 3 years, I thought that this is it. I have to make this change. I have made a petition in love and memory of my daughter. I'm only doing this for her.
Mm-hmm. I love in your petition how you say her life and the life of all stillborn babies deserve to be recognized and acknowledged. Absolutely. And I think that is so true. And so as everyone is seeing, I believe you can see the link for the petition is in the chat, and also you can see across the screen as well. And how many signatures are you at right now? Do you know?
I think we are at 400 signatures, which is a lot. I only started it on October 1st, and within 2 weeks we have reached 400. I'm honestly very grateful for everybody who has shared the link, who spread the love, who signed. who took the time to, share with everybody, with their family and friends. Every signature makes a difference for me. It makes a difference for all the baby parents of Ontario. I'm only doing it, for the memory of our daughter and on behalf of everybody who is felt lonely and our children's lives are not recognized. And I think that really needs to be changed, and it should be standard practice across entire Canada.
I 100% totally agree with you on that. So tonight, everyone that's watching, if we can help her get to 500 signatures, if you can, please sign the petition. I signed the petition today, and I know the collaborative, we're going to do what we can to help you get to 500 signatures. And I just would like to thank you, Shaknoza, for sharing your story.
Thank you very much for having me. It's honestly such a big honor to be here tonight.
So glad you were able to join us. So thank you again, Shaknoza.
Thank you very much.
Oh, so please, if you can, go sign that petition. It's so important that all babies, especially the stillborn in Ontario, are recognized. So last year, we started the Impact Award, and that award last year went to Dr. Rick Goldstein. Dr. Rick Goldstein is on our medical advisory committee. He was acknowledged for his work in SIDS research. And, he's been an amazing resource to baby's breath. And it was just, when we started this award, it was just a no-brainer. We were like, okay, Dr. Goldstein deserves our first Impact Award. This year, I wanted to focus on stillbirth, and I wanted to give this award to someone who's had an impact in an impact in the stillbirth community. And one person's name came to mind that I wanted to give this award to. So Nadine Bazil, you're getting this award. So surprise! Surprise! So I wanted to say a few things, and I wrote some comments down, because ever since I've met you, your perseverance, like, you have been so determined and positive. You've been you took what was such a tragedy and you turned it around, and you have been like the research that you do, and like, honestly, like, it's just been an honor to work with you and to see your tenacity in I mean, you got to the Minister of Health. like honestly, like, I think even I've learned so much from you. I watch you walk up to reporters and just be like, hey, we're doing this event if you want to come for a story. And the work that you've done in translating the documents for us, being our bilingual person, and just I couldn't have thought of a better person to give this Impact Award to than you. That's just why I said to our Drew, who's our tech guy today, everyone's got to stay. So Nadine, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I believe we will be making a difference for pregnant women in Canada. And I think it all started with the petition. The first petition, when you reached out to us, and and back then I didn't know where we would be today. And it's amazing that how far we've come. You're the one that found DOMA. You brought DOMA in, and you continue to, you spoke at the International Stillbirth Alliance. You went down to Salt Lake City, and you talked to them about how, what we're doing to affect change here in Canada. And, you know, and even with the meet and greet with the ministers, you know, your ability to be able to speak in both languages and, you know, it's just been, it's just been so great working with you. So congratulations on the Impact Award, and
Thank you.
appreciate all the work that you are doing. And I know we're going to get um, is it the stillbirth, um, the Remembrance Day that we were talking about in September, and we were
Yes.
talking about possibly doing that on Judith's birthday. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's been years for you, and yeah.
Yeah, National Stillbirth Awareness Day.
Yes, that's the one. It's been a long night. And I'm sure we're going to get that, because knowing you, you will not stop until it happens.
Thank you, Mayor Margaret. I feel really, really honored.
Mm,
And I really don't know what to say except that I really am focused on getting things done and getting to where we want to be, and that is preventing stillbirth in Canada.
yeah. And honestly, if we can save 1,000 babies a year,
Yeah,
that
it's all worth it.
it's all worth all the work that we've put in. And so, yes, thank you so much, Nadine.
Thank you.
So I know it's 7:21, and I think what we're going to do, so that's, um, uh, sorry. It's been a long day, and it's been a very emotional night. So I wanted to thank everyone that joined us tonight, who watched with us. I wanted to thank all the families that have sent in pictures for the Angel Roll Call. Um, and I apologize if we missed anyone. It certainly wasn't intentional. And I want to thank Nadine, Dolma, Melissa, Shaknoza, for being here tonight, and just being such a great group of people to work with. And Shaknoza, you know, when we first met, like, I know we're going to get to 500 for your petition, and we're going to help you. You know, we're going to help people in Ontario get stillbirth certificates. And behind the scenes, as always, Drew from Stay at Home Fundraising, his partner Tim couldn't be here tonight, but they're the ones that did all the graphics, and they're the ones that do the live show. And I can't thank them enough. They're like the best team to work with. So as we're going out tonight, we're just going to do the slideshow of our trip to Ottawa and the butterflies on the hill. So thank you for joining us. Have a great night. Don't forget, the silent auction closes at 8 p.m. tonight. Thank you. Take care.